but I got to give you a compliment. Some of my students went to a marketing workshop that I think it was the Greater San Marcos Partnership was putting on, and I asked them how it was, and they went, "Oh, Christy is so much better."
That is perfect. That's awesome. That means I'm doing my job.
I know
That's
it, but
great.
it was such a compliment to you. They go, "Oh, this other person really did not know nearly as much as Christy."
Hi, man. Welcome to the Wonderless Wonder More Show with your host, Christy Candelario. A movement for life, for freedom in life. Watch ya. Wonderless, Wonder More. Expert advices for sure. Wonderless, Wonder More. Helping you become an entrepreneur. Wonderless, Wonder More. Travel around the world, let us go explore. Wonderless, Wonder More. Expert advices for sure. Come and be guided and supported by this podcast show. We give you enough insight just to help you grow. Special guest experts, business adventures about great lifestyles and so much more. Launching, transforming and leveling up businesses globally since 2012. Stay tuned and wonderless so you can wonder more.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Wonderpreneur podcast show. Today I have one of my first ever business mentors, Dr. Jana Minifie, here with us today as a guest expert. And we are going to be talking about how to do entrepreneurship, like how to actually do this, because entrepreneurship is not all about marketing, as most of you seem to focus on. It's actually about a lot of other stuff too, and it's important that you have all the different pieces. I think that there's even some kind of fact out there that entrepreneurs wear 17 different hats. And if you're just focusing on one of those hats, which is called marketing right now, there's 16 other hats that are not working, and you're probably not making the profits that you want to make. So I'm going to have Dr. Minifie introduce herself. She's actually a professor at Texas State University in San Marcos, Texas, my hometown. That's where I went to college at. She teaches entrepreneurship classes there. She even had her own business and stuff like that. So I'm going to let her introduce herself, and we will dive on into today's episode.
Oh, thank you so much, Christy, for having me on. I really appreciate it. I'm so proud of you. Yes, I'm Jana Minifie. I'm the Barshop Excellence Professor in Entrepreneurship and the McCoy College of Business at Texas State University. I teach in the entrepreneurship program. I teach the business plan development class. I teach the consulting class. Oh wait, I should take away the word teach. I really don't teach. I think I facilitate more than anything. I facilitate people's dreams and helping them achieve those dreams. I also facilitate in the implementation class on occasion. And this fall, I'll be helping out in the small business finance class. But it's such a pleasure to be here with you today. Thank you so much for inviting me.
No, thank you for being here. It's an honor having my first ever business mentor come on as one of my first episodes for the podcast show. Whenever I was making a list on people I wanted to ask, you were at the top of it. I was like, I have to have Dr. Minifie on. So it's awesome having you here today.
Oh, Chris, you know what a compliment that means to me? I mean, that just makes my heart smile so much to hear you say that. That is the best compliment I could ever receive from anybody, so thank you so much.
Aw. Well, it's true. I really appreciate everything that I learned from you, because there's a lot of people in my world, like the online world. I'm a business coach. I help people online start their businesses. And most of the time they focus on the marketing and they have no idea how to even do business operating cost or what their income statement is, what, the results of something is going to be, like planning out something and having a system and a structure and everything else in place, where these people don't really think about that. And that's where I come in and play and, help them transform their business out of that hobby phase into the real business phase. And it has to do with a lot of the stuff you taught me, plus a lot of the other stuff that I learned hands-on through my entrepreneurial journey, because I started my first business back when I was in college, and you knew all about that when I talked about it probably every day I saw you. And then I even won the business plan competition. So that says something. I know how to put a plan together and execute it because I'm obviously living it out right now. But I figured we could really go into that today and talk about entrepreneurship done right so people know how to execute their dreams, because oftentimes people have their dream and they either, one, don't do anything about it, or two, they don't come up with the right kind of plan that, you know, they can execute. I know that you have to do like a feasibility study on things to make sure it's even, you know, that we can even achieve it. But it seems like a lot of people skip all the steps and they just rush into, okay, this is what I'm going to price it at. I'm going to get a website and I'm going to put my open sign on, and then I'm going to sit here and I'm going to try coming up with all these marketing ideas when there's a lot of other stuff, because it's not all about the front end of your business. There's a lot of stuff you have to do for the back end. So that's what I thought we would talk about.
I would love to talk about that, because you know that's why so many people fail at their businesses, because they fail to learn, get knowledge. Knowledge is the number one reason why small businesses fail.
Yeah,
because they're not knowledgeable about the whole aspect of their business.
Yeah,
and that's true.
And that's exactly right. As you know, it doesn't matter how much passion you have for helping someone with whatever it is that you're trying to do as an entrepreneur, because if you're an entrepreneur, hopefully you're doing it to help others and not to get rich. I mean, you get rich in the making by helping others, but it's helping others is the bigger part to it. But if you have all that passion and you don't have the steps and really get expert advice from an actual entrepreneur expert, like somebody that is a business coach or consultant or, you know, has the experience, you're kind of setting yourself up for failure.
Definitely, because there is a mindset of an entrepreneur. And many times people think as a consumer or a student rather than as an entrepreneur, because they think about all the things that they would like and how they want, without going out into the market and validate that with who would actually give you money to do that. So they don't do their research. They don't do their primary research. They don't do their secondary research. Primary research, as you know, is when you go out, you actually survey and talk to customers. What is it that they want? What do they want in their service or their product? What are they missing? What is their need that they have, not just what you want to provide them? And then you look to see what. We'll go into pricing later. I don't even want to bring up pricing, because that's one thing I always get so upset. Because they always want to price it as low as they possibly can. It's like, no, you've got to price it at what the market will bear. You've got to price it at the value that it's giving to somebody. Not just you want to give something inexpensive and give it away, because then you're not going to survive either. But yeah, and secondary research, as you know, is going to the databases. And if anybody of your listeners are not a current student at a university, you can go into any state university library and use their databases for free. So go in there and ask the librarians about some of their databases that they have. Some really good ones out there is First Research on your industry analysis. Simply Maps and University Reporters are great at looking at your demographics, your psychographics, about your customers and how they're spending their money, things of that sort. So go to your libraries. Even public, city libraries will also have databases for you to look at.
That's really good advice, since that is something that most people don't do. So in the online world, most people kind of see somebody else doing something, or they decide to be something one day and they start doing it, and you either have them pricing things way too low, or they take some kind of online training course that's 6 to 12 weeks and they go through the program, and then they decide to charge this, crazy, outrageous price when it's not going to work either. So it's definitely finding the balance in it and doing your homework and knowing what people are paying and knowing where you stand too, because if you're starting out, you're not going to be like the person at the top of the industry. You're not going to do that. Like I can't price my prices at what Tony Robbins pays, like whatever he charges. Like there's no way I can do that. And I think that that's a big mistake that I see online too. And when I get a few clients on, I'm like, okay, well, we need to adjust these prices, because right now nobody knows you exist. Like you're a ghost. No one knows you're there yet. So So that's important that you're saying that.
Well, another thing too,
yeah,
the internet presence. I always think of the Field of Dreams. In the Field of Dreams, he built a baseball field and they'll come. And that's what people think, is that they build a website and people will come. No, there's so many websites out there. You've got to have people, drive people to your website or to your social media. You don't just put it out there and say, okay, people are going to come here and they're going to want my business, my product, and they're going to find me, or I'm going to do Google AdWords. That isn't enough to drive people to your website.
No, and that's whenever you have like freemiums come in, which are like the free gifts, and that helps build your audience because then you're collecting their email address and giving them a free gift. And so you have that email list now, so you can help attract people and email them throughout, the course of the time that they're on your list. And then that's how you also get people, lead magnets. I mean, that freemiums, that kind of stuff, that's the way to do it. Having a social media presence, depending on where you like to hang out online, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube, whatever it is. Like, you have to pick something and kind of help do that too. But you also have to remember to stay aligned with who you are and what your industry is, and really get direct on who your ideal client or customer is. Because if you don't know that exact person, your messaging and every single ad will always be off, and you'll never attract them. You'll attract others.
Exactly. That's why you need to know who your market is, and making sure that your message is reaching that person that wants to give you money. But you are great at this. That's one thing I got to give you kudos for. You are the social media queen when it comes to like getting people to your website, letting people find out who you are. There's no doubt about it. You are like probably the number one person that I know that is able to do that.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, I do a lot of stuff organically, just by being myself and showing up. And I hardly ever use Facebook ads. I've used Google AdWords like one time. I think I spent like $40 in my entire life on Google. And then everything else, I've done a lot of stuff organically, because I found that I couldn't go wrong with having organic marketing, because number one, it's not going to charge me anything, so my profit margins will always be outstanding. Number two, it may grow slower, but that means I have time and flexibility, and I'm not going to be like stressed out and overwhelmed with, one day we're one size and the next day we're like tripled or something like that, which, I mean, it would be cool, but I don't want to overwhelm myself, because that takes the fun out of it. And then three, if I'm being myself and I'm showing up, I'm going to always have the right people. Like, every single one of my clients I have, I love them. I love working with them. I love helping them. I really like making them transform their life. And, I only get to talk to them once a week, but throughout the entire week, I'm like checking in on them. I'm assigning them homework. We're editing stuff together. Kind of a stalker, because I'm making sure they're doing their stuff, and going to the places that they said they were going to go to online. So I'm not stalking them in person.
Their dreams.
Yeah, but I'm that involved with them because I love them. Like, they are exactly who I want to work with. They are 100% a dream client, because we don't have issues. And like, I want to be friends with all of them. And next week, I actually have 3 of them coming here to hang out with me. So that's exciting. I'm going to take them around.
Great.
Yeah. So that's the kind of like person I am. I'm just show up as myself, and I do organic marketing, and I find the right people and help them. And in the mix of it, make money.
Said something in there that's really important. Going back a little bit, you talked about profit margins, or your gross margins.
Mm-hmm.
That is so very important, is understanding your financials of your business, to know exactly when you're spending money and what that's doing to your bottom line. Understanding any type of ratios that would be necessary for your business. I think that is so important, because you need to understand it. And I don't think a lot of people do. Like, even like the students and the non-students that I work with, that's probably the biggest hurdle to get them across, is that financial and understanding it.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. A lot of people, especially in my world, they they have no idea how much money they need to make in order to break even. They don't even know their break even point.
Can
And
you
they're
imagine
not
knowing your break even?
aware. Huh?
Yes. If you don't know what your break even point is, then how do you even know what this is going to be successful or not? Why are you spending your time on something unless it's going to be worth your while? And making sure that it is of value, that it will have a success, and that people will want to spend money on it. But it's not going to cost you so much that you don't have any profits out of that money that you're making.
Exactly. And it seems like most of the time, I mean, it's normal for us to make money and spend money. I mean, if you think about it, most people have a job and they live paycheck to paycheck. So as I've seen business owners grow their business and up level their income, you know, like, speaking of one, I know that there's one out there, probably a lot. Let's just make a random number, like 30,000. She makes $30,000 per month. And at the end of the day, she's still bringing home 4,000, which is exactly what she was making when she had a job. And I'm starting to see that a lot. And it's like, no, that's not right. Like, you're supposed to be up leveling your life. Like, you should be having more freedom, more financials and stuff like that. And if that's the case, if you are never improving your lifestyle, your freedom, and that kind of stuff with your business, you need to reflect on it and really get aware of what your business operating costs are, number one.
Yeah.
And number two, look at it and see where can you cut your costs, because you're probably spending money on a lot of things you shouldn't be spending money on. And I mean, that's the biggest thing I see. Or people decide to grow faster than what they can actually afford, and then they end up in more debt, and some of them end up quitting because they tried to go faster than what they actually could handle.
Right, exactly. So you need to understand the capacity, the operations side of the business as well. But yeah, you're exactly right. If you don't understand all of that stuff, you're not going to do well. You're not going to stay in business. You need to understand every little aspect of what you're doing with your business and how it fits into the bigger picture. You need to understand that break-even point. And that's why research is so important, because you want to find benchmarks, find a comparable business that you want to use as a benchmark or mimic or use as a standard that you want to become, and look to see what their costs are. What are their revenues? What type of costs do they have? And if they've been in business for a very long time, if you can compare what you're doing with what they are doing, so that you can see if there is a disconnect. Like, your advertising costs are like 3 times as much as this benchmark. Well, then you're doing something wrong. It means that you're not having effective advertising. You're just wasting money. You're just putting it out there and not using it where it should be to direct it towards the actual customer who is going to give you money back. So you have to look at that. And you analyze, look at the return on the investment. You're going to a trade show. How many people do you actually sign up and become clients? Is it worth the amount of money it took you to get to that trade show? Yeah, it was in San Francisco, San Diego. It was really a cool place. I had a great time. But if you don't recoup those costs in revenue, it was a waste of your time and money.
Amen to that. That's for sure. And that's where people go wrong. And that's probably the biggest issue with business. You don't keep up with your money, and you're not, you don't have that freedom with your money, and you don't know how to handle it. And it's really just a bad relationship with money. Like, you have to fix it. Divorce rates high because of money, and businesses fell because of money. So it seems like a lot of people need to be more aware of what's coming in and out of their bank account, and to really, like, be grateful for it. And by being grateful, show it some love by watching where it's spent and how it's received and everything else like that, because you don't want your clients paying you late. I know that that's another big thing that people do.
Yeah.
Or you do services for someone and then you don't collect the payment until later on. And if you're thinking that you're going to get paid that day, well, you already helped them. So most likely they're not that motivated to pay you that day. They'll pay you when they feel like it, if they do at all. So it's definitely having that confidence level to really reach out and ask for it before it happens, like a retainer, as you're getting ready to work with them.
Right, exactly. And that comes down to contracts, understanding contracts, legal contracts, and that when you are doing a service for somebody, making sure you understand the deliverables. I was just working with an online advertising company, and they just recently are exiting the business world. with their business. And the reason is that they did not have a clear contract with one of their developers. They were paying them money, but they were not going through and following up every month to see exactly where the development was of the product that they were supposed to be developing for them. And so they were spending all this money and getting nothing in return for it. So you can't just assume that people are doing their jobs. You must follow up. You must ask those tough questions. You must bring in experts if you need to check on somebody else's work. It is your business, and if you don't take it seriously, nobody else will.
That's right. And speaking of contracts, that's another thing a lot of people don't have in my world, the online world. So having a contract, number one, it's going to protect yourself and have the terms set. And also, if somebody tries to do a chargeback, because those happen, you can get paid and someone can still take their money back depending on what card they use or PayPal. I think PayPal lets you do it up to like 6 months after. So if you don't have anything in place, like your money's coming out of your account, whether you like it or not, after it's already been in your account. So having a contract in place is going to also protect you from things like that. And it makes you look more credible because you have something there. And it's not just, some hobby business where like, yeah, pay me on the side. Like if you have your stuff together, you're going to be seen as an expert in whatever you do. And you're going to be protected from things that are about to happen. And, even after the contract has been done and the services have been completed and weeks later. So that's super important. And then you also mentioned something about, now I'm forgetting. You mentioned something about how the people didn't have the stuff together and following up. That's where I was going with this. Following up. That is another big thing that business owners have to do, or even anyone that's in marketing. You have to follow up with others. Most of the time when you first talk to someone, they're not going to buy from you. Like think about it. If you were to go buy a car, would you actually go to the car lot that day and go home with your car? I mean, some people will. Some of us are impulsive buyers. I mean, I know at times I'm an impulsive buyer. Like, don't take me house shopping because I want to buy every single home that I walk into. But, but the thing is, when you're out there and you're dealing with clients, especially, or even customers, sometimes they're going to walk out of the store. And if you don't have a way to reach out to them, like if you don't have their information to reach out and follow up, number one, that's something that needs to be fixed because you should have some kind of follow-up system so you can be on their mind all the time. And number two, I think it's like normally the second or third or fourth time when you start to actually close the deal. So if you're not following up, you're not making money. You're not growing your business. You're not going to up-level it, and you're going to stay exactly where you are until you build up that confidence to start reaching out to others. And the whole follow-up process is simply just checking on them. Like, be a real human and reach out to them. Be a friend. Don't be pitching the entire time. They've already heard your pitch when you told them about it the first time and they walked away. So at that point, when you're following up, you're just asking them how they are. Have they looked over things? Is there anything that you can do to help serve them? Just follow up and be sincere about it.
Right, because people like to give money to people. Or it's not just, yes, I might be going to the car dealership to buy a car, but I develop a relationship with the car salesman. And if I like someone and they're not being too pushy, it's all about relationships. And if you have a relationship, you can't do it on the very time. You want to keep working on that relationship, following up with them, and make it personal. Get to know them. Do they have a dog? Do they have a cat? And ask them about those things. Have a customer database that you write down notes about the people that you've talked to, that they have a birthday at a certain time, and then you remember to send them an email or a card for their birthday. But you've got to keep notes on everybody that you talk to so that you understand when you need to follow back up with them. When was the last time I talked to them? What did we talk about last time? Things of that sort. Don't rely just on your memory, but have it documented somewhere so that you can follow up with these people and know exactly, well, I haven't talked to them in a month. I need to send them a little note to see how they're doing. I know they mentioned that, they mentioned that they were going on a vacation. So I'm going to follow up. Hey, how was your vacation? Type of thing. But develop that relationship with them. People like to give money to people they like.
Yep, it's all about the like, know, and trust factor, which goes in the play of business
Exactly.
owners. I mean, just like dating, obviously you're not going to go in a relationship with somebody that wasn't, somebody that gave you sparks and stuff on your first date. You're never going to talk to them again, or you're not going to be in a relationship with them at least. So, I mean, it's the same thing. Business is like a relationship. You have to have a relationship with others, or you're never going to grow to the capacity that you could actually achieve if you were to reach out and follow up and remember people and
Right.
and be
And
there
talk
for
about
them.
your business. About your business everywhere you go. Network. Go to different meetings. Go to different associations. Go to different meetups. Go to different, online. You might want to go to different blogs or whatever. But get out there and talk with people, because you never know who you're talking to that might be your next customer.
Yes, or you never know who is going to refer you to your next customer, because sometimes we meet people and we tell them about our awesome stuff, but we're not the right fit for them and they're not the right fit for us, but they may know people that are the right fit for working with you. So that's also important to always, even if you know that that's not going to be your customer or your client, it doesn't hurt to just still be there, because you know what? They probably know somebody. Everyone knows somebody. So that's another big point, that you could get referrals. So even if you know someone's not going to buy from you, I would never blow off anybody because that person knows somebody that will buy from you.
Exactly. Treat everybody with the same respect. Be professional. And everything you say and do online, not just with your own business, but anything that you do, like say on social media where you're responding to somebody on a comment, always think about you are always representing your business day and night, even when you're not on call. So remember that at all times, whatever you're doing, you are representing your business. And people are going to look at that and make a judgment call on that.
Amen to that. And another thing is, speaking of that, even if you're doing something private, I mean, people can screenshot these days. So if you're replying to somebody that doesn't want to work with you in a very nasty way, or someone doesn't want to renew a contract, that could easily get screenshot and shared. So that is something else to be aware of. Or when you're, talking crap about somebody else that you did work with, and it's technically like a bad testimonial, and you're trying to tell someone else about how bad this person was, like in a private message, those things get shared too. And it all ends up coming back to you eventually.
Yes.
So always, I don't want to say be mature, but always prepare yourself for what's coming. So like risk management. You have risk management for yourself, for your intellectual property, for your actual property, the legal side of things. Like risk management goes a long way. And that is something else. When you're an empowered entrepreneur, you have to, no ifs, ands, or buts, but you have to always plan, prevent, and prepare for the worst case scenarios. And if you don't have a way that you can easily do it, then you're going to suffer. So if you have that customer that doesn't want to continue or wants to return, and you throw a hissy fit over it, that's not going to do well. That's not going to do well for your future business. You have to have some kind of way to know that not 100% of the people are going to like you and love you and want to be with you. Some people are going to fall off, and that's okay. And you can't take it personal. Business cannot be that personal. Yes, you want to be sincere and you want to love the clients that you have and show them and appreciate them and stuff like that. But at the same time, during those tough situations, you cannot let your emotions affect what needs to happen. Because if it's a contract and we are, getting rid of it, like we're executing it, I don't know, what's that fancy term? When you're getting rid of a contract, you have to be prepared to let your emotions step out of the room while you're handling a difficult situation, because if not, it hits you right back in the butt later on down the road, and you don't want that.
Exactly. And also remember, when you're dealing with somebody that is being angry at you, or they're lashing out at you, remember, we don't know what's going on in their life. There might have been something really horrible that has just recently happened, and you just happen to be the one that they're venting at. So it's always important that if someone gets upset with you about your business and they don't want to do anything with it, listen to them, because most of the time they just want to have someone listen to them. And also, they might be saying something that you need to hear about your business to change and improve it. So listen to it objectively, because people are like books. We only see the outside cover. We don't know what the pages and things that have been going on with them on the inside. So show a lot of empathy with them, and that will go a long ways.
Yeah, and speaking of that, that reminds me of a story that Dr. Bell told in his class one time. He was also a professor that I took before taking Dr. Minifie, and he spoke about how one of his students at the time created some kind of business plan. Everything looked great, or so she thought, and Dr. Bell was basically like, you can't do this, you need to fix this, you need to change this, and gave her all this advice because he didn't see how this was going to be feasible and work out for her. And she ended up having a huge meltdown and ran out of the room, out of his office. I think this is like one-on-one private, not in front of like a class of 50 plus, but she ended up running out and didn't want to hear it and was really mad at him over the feedback. And that's important. As an entrepreneur and a business owner, you should always be willing to hear feedback. It doesn't mean you have to listen to it or take it, but
exactly,
it will tell you what's working and it will tell you what's not working and ways to fix it. Like I love it when my clients tell me different things. Like I'll ask them like, okay, you were just on the online site for this online course. What is missing? What do I need to add another video to? What do you feel complete about, and what do you not understand still? That way I can fix it so it can improve. Because everything can always have improvement. We're humans. Nothing's created perfect. So we're not going to be perfect, especially if it's something that we're creating. It's definitely not going to be perfect if we're not even perfect. And it's something that you need to understand and just be willing and open to others around you and accepting the feedback, whether it comes in the form of love or hate or, whatever it is. You have to be willing to accept it and to listen to it and take what you want and leave the rest.
Exactly, because having a business, just like in life, it's a process. It's going to constantly be evolving and growing, because if it isn't growing and changing, then you're not going to go anywhere. So it's very important to do that as a person and as a business.
Yeah. And one of the other things that I thought we should maybe kind of touch on is how to have a strong foundation in business, because I feel like there's a lot of people that don't have a strong foundation, so they fail right off the bat. I know that financials will definitely go into it, but I figured we could end the show with talking about the the foundation part of business, since that is something that's hardly ever touched on.
Exactly. And I think you're talking about just having a lot of these things that we have already kind of a way of addressed. But a business foundation, just understanding the thought process as an entrepreneur versus a student or a consumer, is understanding how that business model works. We get so involved sometimes with our product or our service that we forget about how do we get it to market and how do we make money out of that. So what does that model look like? What does that business model look like that you want to have for your business? And that you need to know how to work. When you think about business foundations, you're thinking about management, you're thinking about HR, you're thinking about accounting, you're thinking about economics, looking at your external environment. What is going on in your environment? What else is going on with your competitors? What is going on that could change with your business? Even looking at politics, not just in your local area, nationally and internationally. What kind of things are changing at all time? So having those basic foundations of understanding how to manage these different aspects and not just getting focused only on your product, but the model that you have in order to get that product to market, I think is really important. And I hope that was what you were trying to think about.
Yes, no, it was. And that kind of goes back to how I opened up the episode with saying that entrepreneurs wear 17 different hats. And most of the time you're focusing on like the one hat, which is marketing, and maybe we can add 2 for products and services. And that's a huge part of it. You have to know how to manage your business. And that's where the risk factor comes in. That's where doing the studies, like you mentioned, the financial part of it. There's so much involved with business And you have to have a strong foundation by having all these pieces that we've talked about, or you're setting yourself up for failures. You're setting yourself up to be like 90% of the businesses that fell within the first 3 years. And I know that's not what I want to do. I'm pretty sure everyone listening doesn't want to be at that spot either at the end of their third year
we don't
or even
start
their
a
first
business
year.
Yes, I want to fail on the first year.
Yeah, I know. But I mean, if you're setting yourself up for failure, if you're only paying attention to the marketing and the products and services, and not even just like the marketing, like a sales funnel. So a sales funnel is like an upside down triangle, and at the top you have your audience, then you have in the middle your prospects, and at the bottom you have your clients or customers. And so many times people are just looking up at the bottom of the funnel and they're not paying attention to what's going in it. And that's like a whole nother story, but obviously, when you're looking at a sales funnel, the top of it is important. I mean, go to your store, go buy a funnel, and see where the water comes out. It's not going to come out the bottom unless you're pouring something at the top. So it's important to also be aware of that too. And that's the point of the marketing. And if your marketing isn't working, obviously, you may need some feedback from someone that is an expert in business or something like Minifie or myself. But you need to review it and adjust and try again, because marketing doesn't happen overnight. People do not make $1 million while they're in their sleep on their first day in business, and you have to be patient and grow. I mean, this business is only just now taking off, I feel like. I started it, I had my business plan competition for this business back in April 2015. Is that right, Minifie?
Yep, that's correct.
So, right? That's when y'all had it. And that's when I had my idea. So April 2015, after shutting down my first business, starting this one, winning the competition, I'm just now really reaping the benefits from it. And I stuck it out, and that's what you have to do, because anything that you're patient for and you're waiting for, and you just keep doing what you know you're supposed to do, eventually it's going to pay off. If you're doing it right. I mean, if you're just dreaming and working on looking at the bottom of your sales funnel, it's probably not going to work out. But if you actually try and you're putting yourself out there and you're building your audience, and even if it's slow, maybe it's only one person a day that's joining your list or whatever, going into your storefront, whatever it is. But as long as you keep going and you stick it out and you're on the journey for it, it's going to end up happening eventually. Definitely as you tweak things and motivate and stuff like that. So that's also important.
Right. Work smarter, not harder. That's very important.
Exactly.
Doing the right thing.
Exactly.
Put your time where it go. And it's all of the business. You want to make sure you know all of it. And if you don't have a background in some particular area, find someone that does, partner with them, or go to school and learn about it. But do some personality tests. Find out where your strengths are, and then find people to help you in those areas that you don't have a strength in, and listen to them. But also educate yourself, so that, because so many times I hear about people going, I'm just giving my financials to my CPA. And you know what? They go out of business because the CPA knows that they don't understand it, and they take advantage of that. Educate yourself. You can still outsource something, but make sure you understand what they're doing.
Yes, that's so important. I actually know somebody that went into business, and two people that went into business because they had this awesome idea and they wanted to make all this money from doing this thing, and they didn't actually know how to use the product or perform the task. So they had salespeople that knew how to perform it, but the owners of the company had no idea how to use this product that they created and the service that they had established. And they went out of business because they didn't know the most important part. And that's hard when you're starting out. You can't have employees. You have to be doing it yourself. Most of the time, it's not where you hire on dozens of people and things are going to work out. Because if you can't figure it out, then there's no way it's going to sustain itself and be there for the long term.
Right. You can't just assume that people are doing their jobs correctly all the time.
Yes. Well, I hope everyone learned something new about their business today, and it's helped you get on the right track and opened your eyes to a lot of new things other than marketing. Minifie, do you have anything else you wanted to say?
I just want to say thank you so much, Christy, for even thinking of me to be on your podcast. I really appreciate this opportunity. And if there's anything else that I can do to help you, just let me know because I'm here for you.
Oh, well, it's been an honor
One of
and
my
a pleasure
favorite.
having you here. Oh, everyone's going to be able to hear this. So if you have past students and current students, they're going to hear you say that I was your favorite.
They say you are my favorite then.
Oh, okay. So thank you everyone for being here today, and I'll see you again